Welcome to the No Sugarcoating Podcast. I am Amber Romaniuk, emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert. I am also the founder of amberapproved.ca. I support professional women achieve optimal health through mindful eating, self-care, and overcoming self-sabotage with food. This podcast provides the honest truth on what you really need to create body freedom. The No Sugarcoating Podcast provides information on healthy living, lifestyle changes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your healthcare practitioner regarding your health and nutrition program. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 182 of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. This week, I am talking about how body image insecurities are impacting your success. And as you'll hear more, I don't just mean success in business or career. I'm really going to be delving into many different areas of your life. So the show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca /podcast/182. A friendly reminder to subscribe to the No Sugarcoating Podcast on all podcast apps. You can click the link in the show notes. As well, you can listen to all episodes at amberapproved.ca /podcast. Body shame can be tough. It's not fun, is it? I can so relate. I used to struggle with body shame, body image struggles all the time, and it was exhausting and draining and was not in support of my health or well-being or happiness. But there is a better way than body shame, let me tell you. So something to think about. What if instead of fearing judgment, you chose to build body love and confidence, to accept where you are in your journey and to be grateful for you? To compliment yourself and have fun, regardless of what you are wearing and who you are with. Wouldn't it feel amazing? I promise it's possible step by step. This is a process I support my clients with every day, and every time we connect, they have built a deeper level of awareness of the possibility of kicking body shame to the curb and building a healthy relationship with themselves and their body image. I encourage you to reach out for support to learn the tools and awareness that will build this body freedom for you so you can enjoy your summer, your fall, your life every day with confidence and love. Email me at info@amberapproved.ca with the subject line Summer Coaching Sale to save substantially on my 6-month and 1-year coaching programs. I'll help you ease into summer and fall feeling proud of yourself for being happy in your body instead of hiding at home in shame. Again, you can email me at info@amberapproved.ca. We'll book a 30-minute body freedom call and we will talk more about where you're struggling and where you're seeking support and if working together would be a proper fit. So I look forward to connecting with you. And if you're curious if you're struggling with emotional eating, make sure that you check out a couple of wonderful links that will be in the show notes. As well, you can go to amberapproved.ca to check out my emotional eating quiz, as well as my emotional eating video series. They help to give you more insight and help you to understand if you perhaps may be struggling or to what degree. Again, these are great opportunities for you to review and see if you want to receive further support as well from them. Last but not least, make sure you are following me on Instagram at Amber Romaniuk. This is where I share a lot of wonderful information on health tips, emotional eating inspiration, recipes, Instagram stories, lives, and much more. Again, that's at Amber Romaniuk. Thank you for all of the reviews, emails, DMs, sharing that you guys do on social media of my podcast. I can't thank you enough. There's thousands of you, tens of thousands of you listening all over the world. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that I am able to share my voice with so many different people of so many different, backgrounds and lives and scenarios. So I'm just so grateful and thankful to share with you. So if you would like to leave a review to support the podcast, which really does help new listeners, get an insight as to what current listeners think or feel, you can do so on your phone or computer by going to podcasts and searching for the No Sugarcoating Podcast. Even if you're subscribed to me, you need to find the show in this way. Once you're on my main page, you can click on reviews, write a review in purple. If you want, you can give me 5 stars and write a little something or one or the other, whatever feels best for you. You can also go to amberapproved.ca /review, and it will take you to the page where you can follow the steps that I just shared. If you have questions, you can submit them to nosugarcoatingpodcast@gmail.com. I please ask that questions are no more than 150 words in length, as health histories need more support and one-on-one coaching may be a better fit. If you are finding a specific eating style is not working for you, you're struggling with emotional eating, food addiction, digestive issues, inflammation, you suspect your hormones are out of whack, your energy is low, self-care continues to be a struggle, and you are at the bottom of your priority list and you're fighting with your body and your weight, well, these are all the topics that I am going to continue to talk about, diving into the habits and mindsets to set you on a different path and going outside of the box. I think that's one of the key pieces, is to go outside of the box and take things deeper, because this is a deep journey. Self-love, emotional eating, optimal health. This is not you change one thing and you have it all. This is a deep mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual journey if you do believe in that. So I hope that what I have to share provides you some insight and a deeper level of awareness. So how body image insecurities are impacting your success. Amber Approved offers private coaching for hormonal imbalances, weight loss and digestive issues, emotional eating, and more. Contact Amber at amberapproved.ca to book your 30-minute complimentary consultation today. So I'm going to be talking about quite a few different areas of your life, your body, your health that are impacted when you struggle with body image insecurities, self-hate, low self-worth, rejecting yourself. And so the first area is the relationship you have with yourself. So things I often find that it costs you, I guess you could say, or that are in lack when you struggle with body image insecurities or weight struggles or low self-worth, emotional eating, are your happiness, your inner self-worth, your confidence, and your trust are at minimal. You're probably experiencing more low moods than happy. You're probably feeling more insecure or not worthy. You're probably feeling that you don't trust your body. You don't trust that you can have self-love. You don't trust that you could overcome emotional eating. You don't trust you can have optimal health. And that lack of trust and lack of confidence then ripples across and interferes with potentially many other areas of your life. I often find also the way that you treat yourself is perhaps not very nice, and then that impacts the way that you treat others as well. So an example would be if you're always a negative self-talk, you're putting yourself down, maybe you're calling yourself stupid or fat or dumb or ugly, not good enough, you just always kind of digging at yourself and being hard on yourself. And then you may find that you're projecting that onto other people as well, or maybe you find you snap more easily on other people, conflict is created more easily, things like that. So it does really have an impact on, of course, the relationship you have with yourself and then others. So I've mentioned negative self-talk, putting yourself down. These things don't make you feel good when you're doing them. They probably make you feel drained emotionally and energetically. They don't make you feel good about yourself. They don't inspire you to be your best self and live your best life. They don't inspire you to go out and take risks, like maybe starting a business or expanding your business or, being courageous enough to open up to love. These are things that we can think are not possible when we, have this deep limiting belief that we need to look a certain way or be a certain weight to be good enough to be worthy or to be loved, which again, I don't believe is the case. And then what happens is, as I've kind of already mentioned, when you feel this way about yourself and you've been in this kind of vicious cycle of sabotaging the relationship you have with yourself, you don't tend to believe in yourself or like you can achieve anything you want to achieve. And I really believe that when we are open, we can achieve anything we want. We can heal anything we want. We can attract anything we want. It does take doing some inner deeper work though, and it takes wanting to shift the mindset and wanting to support your health. And when challenges come up, it's not an opportunity that you're being punished for or that it's that you have bad luck. I think there are opportunities for us to lovingly challenge ourselves and our mindsets in a positive way and to learn a lot and deepen the relationship we have with ourselves. And I know anytime for me a challenge comes up, I always grow and I always deepen the relationship I have with myself and deepen my level of awareness. And then that also helps me to be able to further more deeply help and support my clients, have more loving compassion and understanding for those that I love around me. And it does help me create a even healthier relationship with myself and healthier relationships with those around me. I feel more confident. I feel, excited to take risks and expand my business. And so it is very much fulfilling, whilst it can be scary and uncomfortable. When we walk through that and we still support ourselves, miracles happen and breakthroughs happen. So I often observe people fighting with their bodies. So it's like, again, the negative self-talk. You're in a weight obsession focused mindset, obsessing and focusing on a number, dictating your self-worth with that number. That is part of the fight with the body. I feel like emotional eating and starvation diets and restriction are part of the body fight. Of course, the negative self-talk, limiting your life. These are all things that are you in a fight with yourself. Another thing that is part of the fight with your body is you're highly emotionally reactive if you have physical symptoms. So examples would be, say you get bloated and that makes you really angry and frustrated because then your clothes don't fit properly or you feel embarrassed. So every time you get bloated, you get frustrated and angry with your body. But where the breakdown is the more you negatively react to physical symptoms, usually the worse the physical symptoms get, because you're going into a fight and flight response with your body. And that makes your nervous system rev up, your immune system, and that often amplifies symptoms. Versus if we observe a symptom and can get curious and understand why we have the symptom and then take loving actions to deal with the symptom, oftentimes that symptom can be resolved or drastically reduced. Another part of this is that a lot of people lose their faith in their ability to be healthy if they're experiencing different symptoms all the time, if those symptoms seem like they're getting worse, if they've been told by different, health practitioners, oh, you're going to be stuck with this forever. You're just going to have to deal with it. It is the way that it is. You can lose faith in your body's ability to be healthy, and it can feel like it's never going to happen when, everything is possible again when we shift our mindset and we shift the relationship we have with ourselves. Oftentimes, I often find that people who have a lack of faith within themselves and being healthy fear getting sick or having illness happen, or if you have illness happening, you may feel like you're governed by it and that it runs your life. And you may feel like just that your body and your health are failing you and that you're broken. And again, none of that is the case at all. It is about shifting the mindset and getting to the root causes, mentally, physically, emotionally, as to why you are struggling with the symptoms or diagnosis that you've been giving. I don't believe anything is permanent unless you fully believe it to be permanent. And again, there's just such an opportunity to do a deeper level of work. And if you look at some of the leading experts in the world, like Chris Carr, Wayne Dyer, Bob Proctor, Louise L. Hay, they all went through some deep form of suffering physically and emotionally that really helped to grow them into the knowledgeable, inspirational experts that they are today. And I think anything is possible for anybody, and it's not just certain people who are special or who are lucky in this lifetime that get to experience that. We all can have that healing journey. It's just that we've got to want to choose that rather than let the ego or the self-sabotaging mindset govern. I find if we let the ego or self-sabotaging mindset stay in control for the majority of the time, that's where things often will get worse and feel like it's difficult for them to improve. I often find people are also scared to investigate their health symptoms or look into why they may be struggling with their health issues for fear of bad news, for fear of having more information and further understanding, because you don't know how to navigate it. You don't know what your, test results may say. But avoidance and not doing anything do not set you up for success. They do not help you be preventative. We don't want to take things to the point where it's a huge surprise, it's very serious, and it may be life-threatening. Ideally, we want to be preventative, so investigate your symptoms always. Get support from people who want to help you investigate your symptoms in a positive way, because we all do deserve to get the answers that we seek for our health and well-being. And I know sometimes it can be scary experiences. I've gone through those. And that's where it's important for us to get information, get answers, and again, have people guiding us that we feel safe and supported by. I've already kind of mentioned this, but I find, again, body insecurities really do impact the relationship you have with food. I find people sabotage with food. People struggle with emotional eating, dieting, binges, the weight obsession, the quick fixes, that there's really an unhealthy relationship with food because, of course, you're striving and wanting so badly to have this perfect body and this perfect weight. And of course, as we know, sabotage does not help to bring you closer to self-love and a healthy relationship with your body. It often disconnects you more. And oftentimes I find people who are asphyxiated with weight and body image, their happiness is externally focused, meaning, again, you look at a weight, you look at a number, you look at a clothing size and external beauty, and you believe those things validate what kind of self-worth you should have. And until you are that certain size or look a certain way to fit in with society norm, which is getting more extreme and scary, to see all the plastic surgery and fake everything and photoshopped everything, then a lot of people compare and they think they're not good enough because they don't look like that, when that's not the case at all. I find a lot of people also look to others for their happiness, or by overgiving or people pleasing or trying to be perfect, saying yes to everyone else and no to yourself. And these are all exhausting, and they all deplete your self-worth because you're not taking the time to take care of yourself, and then you don't feel well, and then you're sabotaging with food, and then you're trying to lose the weight, and it's all very exhausting, and it's a vicious cycle that does not support your health or your greatest good. And then again, because you have a shorter fuse, you're taking out your frustrations on others, you're blaming and criticizing, creating conflict, you have deep judgment of yourself and potentially others, and it just creates a very negative environment for yourself and others to be around. And you may find some people have shared this with me, that they deeply, of course, criticize and judge themselves, and then they are also then judging other people. And you just don't think you're good enough. That's truly what is at the core of all of this, is that, and then you just end up feeling low, unhappy, and upset regularly. And that's not optimal. That's not how I want people to live. That's not how I wanted to live. That's why I knew I wasn't meant to eat out of a garbage can and fight with my body for the rest of my life. I knew I was here for bigger purposes, and there was something more for me, and that came with choosing to want something different. The next area of life that I feel can really be impacted by body image insecurities is your business/career, or if it's that you're a full-time mom, it is, of course, being that mother and being that self-loving person for yourself and being a positive role model for your kids. And I'm not saying everyone struggles with this, but I've talked to a lot of women who have shared their experiences with me, and I sense so much love and compassion, because this is something that does impact, I find, every area of life. So with business and career, or with being a mother, this same thing resonates, is that perhaps you don't believe you're a good enough mother. Perhaps you don't believe in your abilities to pass on really great habits and mindsets and things like that to your kids, or maybe you just question if you're making the right decisions for them. In your business and career, you may not believe that you can be highly successful or abundant, or you put so much time and energy into your business or career trying to prove your worth that you exhaust yourself and there's no balance, and that impacts your health. That triggers you to binge eat, because you're spending so much time working that you're forgetting to eat, you're forgetting to hydrate, and then at the end of the day, you're so hungry and ravenous that you're binging on whatever you can find. Perfectionism, overachieving, and people-pleasing are often part of this kind of insecure mindset. And that, again, is because you have a void that is a lack of self-love, and you're trying to fill it with people-pleasing, food, diets, overachieving, but none of those things fill the void. They're all external. That's where it is to go inside and do the internal work, and to learn how to love yourself, which takes time. It takes exploring different areas of growth, self-care, supporting your health and well-being, mindset shifting. But again, trust me when I say it is 100% completely worth doing, because then you're free, and freedom is priceless. Fighting and feeling like you're stuck is not. All we have is the present moment. All we have is right now. We are not guaranteed the future. We cannot relive the past. The present moment is a gift. So when we can get all of these cluttery things out of the way, and we can focus on being present, we are free. The ego cannot take over. The self-sabotaging mindset cannot take over when we are present. So the more we can work on being present, which again, self-care is an important part of that, the more free we are moment to moment. A lot of people, a lot of women especially that I connect with, they're unhappy with the way their clothes fit. They're unhappy with their body image, as I've mentioned. So they want to hide. You don't want to speak up. You say no to speaking opportunities, TV, media opportunities, anything that would have you be seen by everyone else for fear of them judging your body image, saying you don't look good. I've had people say, well, Amber, I've seen leading experts who have been body shamed, and everyone gets body shamed. And unfortunately, yes, there is a big epidemic of online cyberbullying, but those are all people who are just very insecure and hiding behind their own stuff. And we can't do anything about that. All we can do is be ourselves and be courageous enough to be a voice and take a stand for ourselves and what we believe in, regardless of what other people have to think. And when you build self-love, you really don't care what other people think anymore. You may care what close loved ones think about you, not in the sense of body image, but you may want their opinion when you're processing things or you're going through things, but you don't care what strangers think and what opinions they have of you, because you are confident and you fulfilled that void. And that to me is the key of where we want to get. But perhaps again, you have really great success, but your health is not optimal. Perhaps you've pushed so hard to create this success, but you're tired, you're bloated, you're puffy, you have cravings to refined foods, you're emotionally eating regularly to deal with the overwhelm. You're just not feeling well. And then it's hard to continue to put the same amount of energy into the success because you're not feeling well. And that at some point will impact your success, because your body can only do so much for so long from a physical standpoint before she does get exhausted and depleted and overwhelmed and cannot, serve at the same level. And then I find what happens is your success and the amount of business and money you attract falls back when you are not consistently taking care of yourself, because you are tired. You can't show up and be your best self. And you can't, when you don't have balance, it's very hard to give when you're depleted and exhausted, or you don't have the capacity to take on and expand your business or career because you don't feel well enough to. You don't feel driven and motivated enough to. And often, again, if you're exhausted and you don't feel well, why would you feel motivated to put more in? And for some, that can make them feel like a fraud. Perhaps you are in a health and wellness business, or whatever your business is. You're telling people one thing, but you are not actually able to practice and do it yourself, right? And you're not following through. And that can make you really feel out of alignment. And so I think it's so important that we work through the fraud syndrome by honoring and taking better care of ourselves, because it's really important that we are in this space to do so. Often I find when people have a low self-worth, they don't feel worthy for success. They don't feel like they can have anything they want, get any interview, media opportunity, make a certain amount of money. I think that, as you build your worthiness, you feel worthy for success, and you feel worthy like you can be unstoppable and have it all. And that's another reason why it's so important to build your self-love and your self-worth, because we are all worthy to have it all. It's just a matter of us believing in ourselves and believing we are worthy. I've observed experiences and seen this where people have to shut their business down because their health is in a crisis. They've pushed and exhausted themselves so far that their health is now in a high state of crisis, and there are serious consequences for not slowing down and not having balance. We don't want things to get to that point. We want to prevent. We don't want to get to the point where, again, you don't have a choice. So if you're worried about getting to the point where you don't have a choice, but you're wanting to prevent, I would highly encourage you to reach out and book a body freedom call and seriously consider getting a deep level of support. I don't want you to have to shut your business down. I don't want you to get really sick. I want you to prevent so that you can enjoy all areas of your life, including your business success, and of course, more importantly, having your health. The next area, and I've kind of touched on this already, but is being a parent, whether you're a mother or father, but being a parent, I think it's so important to have your self-worth with your body image, because it does impact what you say about yourself. And then, if you're saying things like, I'm fat, or I need to lose weight, I need to go on a diet, I hate myself around your children, they're hearing that. And that's probably upsetting them and confusing them. And then maybe they're thinking that's normal and that they need to become more critical of themselves. Or perhaps you become critical of your kids and their weight and often make comments about their body image. I remember being in 7th grade, and there was one girl whom was in our grade, and all of a sudden, we're a couple months into the school year, and all of a sudden she disappeared for the rest of the year. And her mother was so critical of her and calling her names and telling her she needed to lose weight, and she ended up developing an eating disorder and missed the rest of school year and came back the following year much thinner. So obviously her mother was very critical of herself, and therefore was then, putting that on her child. And I just think that that is so irresponsible. At the same token, you don't know what you don't know. So if you are projecting onto your kids or other people, the first step is awareness, because you probably have no idea you're doing it, because it probably is normal for you because of your own insecurities. So it's for you to have love and compassion for yourself. And it's to also recognize, once you're aware, to stop being critical of your kids, because passing on this kind of programming and patterning to your kids can have such a negative impact on their life and their self-worth and the way that they grow up and how they lead their lives. I just think it's so important for us to take responsibility and not pass things on to our kids or future kids. And oftentimes I find if people are judging themselves and their kids, they may also be judging other parents and the ways other parents are parenting, judging other people's body image and criticizing other adults' body image and size. Criticism is just not a loving act at all. The world needs less criticism and more love, more complimenting. So I would encourage you that if you are critical of other people, to challenge yourself and to actually catch yourself doing that and start complimenting people instead. Your personal relationships, I believe, are impacted when you feel insecure within yourself, because oftentimes people are regularly in negative self-talk with themselves and others. It's draining to be around negative people for long periods of time. I've talked about the short fuse and how you may take out your frustrations and frazzled energy on those you love, instead of taking responsibility and learning how to handle your stressors and emotions and build your self-worth in a healthy way. Perhaps it's that you don't feel worthy enough to love, and you've essentially set a standard for yourself and, set a rule that you don't date and you won't allow yourself to date until you lose that 5, 20, 50, however many pounds. And it's like, what if you deny yourself of love for your whole life? I know this because I have this. Your ideal partner will love you for who you are, not what you look like, not a certain amount of weight. It's the loving oneself that really is the key. The person I'm with now, who is the most beautiful soul, and I'm so grateful that we reconnected. And I think I've mentioned this before. When we first met 8 years ago, I was thinner than I was now, but that doesn't matter. But I just share that with you because it wasn't about the weight. It wasn't about a certain number on the scale for him. The first time we dated, though, it wasn't the right time because we both had a lot of our own deep journey to go, and we were both in self-sabotaging behaviors that neither of us knew about at the time. And neither of us loved ourselves at that time, so it wasn't meant to be yet. Fast forward, almost 4 years ago, and it just makes me emotional because it does let you know that fairy tales are possible. Self-love is possible, and you can attract the most beautiful love into your life when you are open and when you are ready and when you are ready to receive that back. And the relationship just grows and becomes so much more beautiful because you're not putting all your crap on the other person and vice versa. You both own and take responsibility for your journeys, and you're there to support each other. And let me tell you, I've grown a lot personally just on my own journey, but holy crap, has he ever helped me to grow? And has he ever lovingly challenged me to be my best self? Not perfect, this isn't about perfection, but challenged me to work on my inner, the things that are part of my ego. And I have done so for him. And it only has brought us so much closer. So when you are in that alignment and you're aware and you're willing to work on yourselves and not put it on the other person, the love in the relationship only grows, and it's absolutely so beautiful, and it's never been about the weight. And I'm so grateful and thankful to have found someone who is so supportive and who would never criticize me or my body. I don't think that's a healthy relationship to be in. So if you are in a relationship where you're being criticized by your partner, I would actually lovingly encourage you to have a very empowering conversation and to leave if you're not fully supported. But don't deny yourself. Don't deny yourself a beautiful love, because everyone deserves to have it. I also believe, though, it is also another important reason to fill the void, because otherwise you may fear being abandoned or that your partner's going to leave you. You may smother your partner for attention. You may feel really needy because you have a void, the lack of self-love, and you're trying to fill it. You're expecting them to fill your void, but they can't. They can give you a beautiful kind of love, but it's a very important opportunity for you to give yourself a very beautiful kind of love. So filling the void is super important for that. Your health success. So I've talked about your relationship with yourself, and this is imperative for your health. So your fatigue and your irritability, and you're tired and you're moody, again, sabotaging with food, you struggle with digestive issues, feeling sensitive to many foods, you have inflammation, water retention, bloating, you struggle with high stress, and you don't have the capacity or the tools to help you cope. So you go to food, drinking, shopping, watching TV, social media, but you're distracting, you're numbing out, and you're checking out. Maybe you struggle with things like brain fog, cravings, not eating regularly enough. Maybe you just delve so deep into your work to distract you, but that's not supporting your health. You're not prioritizing your health or eating healthy, mindfully eating. You're gaining weight. You're struggling to let go of weight. You just don't feel well. You don't feel healthy. And a lot of people accept this as their new norm when it really does not have to be your new norm at all. I don't believe we should settle with, oh yeah, I guess I'm just going to be tired for the rest of my life. Oh yeah, I guess I'm just going to have these symptoms for the rest of my life. No, investigate, take action, get support. These are things I help my clients with all the time. And then they start to be shocked when they don't have the symptoms anymore, or the symptoms resolve and they're able to have a new norm, which is optimal health, which is freedom from their symptoms or only minimally experiencing their symptoms. And then they have the tools and the know-how to actually calm those symptoms down and move forward. And it's just so empowering and so powerful to see people experiencing this and going through this. So just know that these symptoms don't have to be your norm, but oftentimes the more negative you are about yourself, the more symptoms you have, because negative self-talk is draining emotionally and physically. I really believe your cells respond to your thoughts. And if you're negative all the time, your cells respond to that, and they can't replenish as easily, and your immune system isn't as strong, and your nervous system is in that fight or flight more often. And it's very hard for your body to be in a state of equilibrium or balance and have minimal symptoms or no symptoms. So I think it's imperative for you to build a healthy relationship with your body, to also have optimal health as well. I do believe they go hand in hand. Body image insecurities, that's your ego. So we all have a self-sabotaging mindset. That is the ego. And I find when the ego's in power instead of the true you being in your power and building self-love, which is the ultimate power, you really want to play, or you're playing a small game of life versus a big one. And I don't mean big life like you have to conquer the world and be like Oprah or something. Great if you want to do that. But I just mean you're playing small in the sense of you're not making yourself a priority or your health. You're denying yourself of success. Whether you're a parent or in your business, you're denying yourself of love. There's just many things here that you deny yourself of because you are scared, or you don't feel worthy, or you're just too exhausted to even think about, how that could feel. But I want everyone to play a big game of life, to love, to be happy, to be healthy, to take risks. Whether it's something that seems so big, or something that's well, that's not a big deal, but I'm just too scared to do it. I want you to play a big game of life, and I want you to be healthy. I think it's so important for us to dig deeper to, again, build this healthy relationship with ourselves. And so the last, area today that I want to talk about is overbooking your schedule to people please and get validation from others that you're good enough. So there's no white space in your calendar. There's no self-care routine. You're not sleeping well. You have low energy, and you're not a priority. So when these kinds of things happen, your body gets inflamed. Your nervous system and your immune system are not happy. Your body can't balance as easily. And then this domino effect of symptoms can happen. So if you're emotionally eating and you're fighting with your weight, well, perhaps you're gaining more weight. Perhaps you're tired and exhausted. Perhaps no matter how much you sleep, you don't feel rested. Perhaps it's that you have cravings and just different symptoms that I've already mentioned. Maybe it's hormone imbalances, or maybe it's actually developed into something more serious. And now your life may be in threat. And maybe now you're really scared and really worried. We don't want it to get to that. And if it has gotten to that point, know that it's not the end, or it's not the be all end all. Oftentimes I find if a health crisis shows up, It's a beautiful opportunity for you to build a deeper level of self-love and unconditional love for whatever you are going through. And if we can learn how to love it and accept it and, bring in a more positive mindset, that can heal. That can help us feel more secure with our body and body image. But it is to learn how to love no matter what. So this is not about weight loss at all. This is about shifting the focus off of that and shifting onto building a healthy body image and a healthy relationship with food and yourself. Oftentimes, I find my clients who focus on weight loss get obsessive and want to diet and then get overwhelmed and binge and lose control and sabotage their success. And it's when we take the focus off of the body image weight and off of the dieting and things like that and build mindful eating habits, overcome emotional eating, build balance with schedules, start to compliment self and stop criticizing, we overcome the self-sabotaging behavior. And what is below that is awareness. You start to catch and shift the negative self-talk, the sabotaging behaviors, the emotional eating. You start to compliment yourself more. You start to choose self-care and mindful ways to navigate your emotional eating triggers. You start to take more action on your health and you start to feel better. And awareness is the key. Awareness allows you to start to see and understand why you're thinking the thoughts you are and taking the actions you are. As you build awareness, you can catch and shift negative thoughts, behaviors, patterns, etc. And you start to incorporate more positive self-talk, healthier habits. You change your patterns and habits to newer, healthier ones, and you start to feel more confident. You start to feel empowered. You start to love yourself. You start to feel better. And this is all so empowering, and everyone deserves to have this. I've gone through this. My clients have gone through this on many different levels. And it is so possible for you to overcome anything that you may be struggling with, even if your mind is saying you can't. It's a power of choice to choose to shift that perception and to build awareness and embark on a completely different journey. So if this is resonating with you, if you're struggling with these things, I encourage you to reach out, book the Body Freedom call, send me an email, listen to this podcast again, check out what I have available for you on my website and follow me on Instagram. The show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca /podcast/182. Remember, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health. So take action now. Have a beautiful day and a great week. And I will look forward to sharing a whole new podcast with you next week. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe, review, and rate this podcast and share it with your friends. You can find me at amberapproved.ca and follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Amber Romaniuk. Join me next Sunday for another brand new episode and another step toward body freedom.